even see outside some of them cannot even see outside Ife. Not to talk of getting to Ibadan.
You just nailed
Thank
it.
you.
Let's make it post training because I'm interested in Adejuwon's training for use of doing business for me.
I'm using the phone.
Oh, holy.
Okay.
Let's start.
WhatsApp to connect.
That's the matter because today is very passionate about Nigerian University. So let's stop now. Then I'll revisit the matter later.
No wala. All right.
Okay. Thank you, everybody. Okay, thank you for the energy. Never say that energy of. Okay, good. Please give me a second. Okay. Let me share my screen.
You said I talked with somebody that.
So the first thing that I want to show you guys is for you to give me a rating on my Yoruba language skills. Okay. So when you guys see my title, I want you guys to tell me what you guys think about who can interpret this English like the Yoruba in a better way.
Ìmọ́tótó nípa lílo ẹ̀rọ ayárabíàṣá.
Láyé ayélujára òde òní.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah,
that's good.
I wanted to add.
That's really good. Yeah.
Yeah, idea is need.
Honestly.
So
it's really good.
So thank you all for joining us for being here today. Today we'll be discussing. I'm not going to be teaching or lecturing or anything. It's like we're going to have a discussion on this topic, cyber hygiene in the internet age. All of us, we all have what they call digital footprint, which is essentially our exposure to the public internet. We have mobile phones, computers, tablets, we have social media accounts, email addresses. A lot of us do online banking. For those of us who work in the West, it's possible that you also contact your doctor, even healthcare information through patient portals. When you do medical tests, it's there. Social security number is there. Bank account information is there. So our digital footprint is expanding a lot. And actually, this pandemic, this COVID-19 pandemic, is actually even driving a lot of people's digital footprint to expand more. Because now, the children that went to school, normal brick and mortar school, a lot of people are having to buy laptops and joining school online. There's church online. All of these things, they are all called digital footprint. Wherever it is you put your stamp, wherever it is you log in, whatever web page or system you have an account, that's a digital footprint. And the larger it is, the more our vulnerability, the more devices we have, and the more systems that we use. So it's a good thing to have this discussion at this time. Disclaimer, I'm not a cybersecurity expert per se, but cybersecurity is one of the IT domains that I manage. So I have some knowledge, and that's why I said it will be a discussion because we're going to be learning from each other. So the agenda today, we are going to start with, there's a pandemic. What does that mean? We will review recent large cyber attacks. Most of the data that I have is US based. I don't have much data for Nigeria, but it's going to be reflective. FBI complaint statistics. FBI has an organization where they used to monitor cyber attacks and reports and what is going on. So I have some statistics I would like to share. Victim stats by age group. I included that because age matters. We are set might be the generation that is directly before the millennial generation. They said the millennial generation started in 1981. I think the youngest among us was like 1980. Most of us are 79, 78. So we are just a generation above the millennials, but we are all involved. Types of threat actors, who can be compromised, who has been compromised, who can be compromised. We'll review some common threats that are out there and how to mitigate them. I'll spend some time on social engineering because this is a discussion of this is not an IT discussion per se. We're not like talking cybersecurity to an IT team, to network administrators or database administrators. We are regular people, and I think that the biggest threat vector that faces those of us who just have our daily lives is actually social engineering. And I have some real fun slides there as well. And we're going to do a test as well. We're going to do some tests, some exercises. I discussed malware, and then we're now actually going to the cyber hygiene practices. So as we all know, there's a huge pandemic out there called coronavirus, and it's ravaging the nations. America is not exempt. Give me a second. I just want to see that. I just want to check that our live stream is actually on. Okay. So there's a pandemic out there, coronavirus, and the teachers have taught us that the way we are supposed to deal with it is wash your hands, cover your nose, wear a mask, clean your environment to make sure that the remnants of the virus are not laying around, avoid large gatherings, social distancing, don't touch your eyes and your face because that's how the virus goes. Make sure your food is cooked thoroughly because you don't know who's touching the food in the market and things like that. All of these things are basic hygienic practices for us to avoid contracting the coronavirus pandemic. However, those of us who work in IT and of course the larger public, we know that there's been a cyber pandemic that's been going on over the past 10 years. And the number has just been staggering and it's been increasing and increasing. Today is, like I said, is a day for us to review this cyber pandemic and to see what we all can do about it. Please give me a second. Let me place. Okay. So I did put like recent cyber attacks. This is mostly companies in the US. However, the user base affected is not just in the US. For example, Yahoo. Yahoo is how most of us started email. Yahoo had a compromise in 2014, and the number of account details that were released was massive. I have 500 million here. I have also heard that it goes over 1 billion because I think 500 million is the estimate for unique accounts, but it's over 1 billion for all the different accounts that were hacked into. And let me just say that when these hacks happen, they essentially, hackers gain control of your email address and your password. That's essentially what they get. But when they get that, and they can log into your email, and they can, whatever it's in your email now is open season. They can see your bank statements, they can see your transcript from school, every personal email you have. So that's how this thing works. So a lot of this is that now there's no sector of society that is not affected. Target happened in 2013. Target is like Walmart. They're like a big, what's it called? Hypermarket store where people go to buy groceries and stuff like that. And it's very interesting how Target was breached. Target was breached from the HVAC system, the cooling system. The hacker joined the company that maintains the air conditioner because he noticed that their air conditioner was on Internet of Things. And that is what we will discuss Internet of Things later. He noticed that there was, of course, there is a computer network controlling the whole HVAC system. So he had the malware in the flash drive, plugged it into this thing, and that was how he was able to infect that network and cause this huge breach. So eBay has had it. JP Morgan Chase, this is a big bank in America. You can see Experian and Equifax. These organizations are social, they're like they're financial institutions that kind of monitor the credit of Americans. So they have a lot of information, especially our social security numbers. In Nigeria, there's no social security number. So, but in America, the social security number is such a big deal. Like you have to keep it secret because anybody who has it, that's like somebody has your SSN number, they can essentially perform identity theft on you because they can go to a bank and collect a loan in your name and things like that. So Equifax, we will discuss Equifax later because the way they were breached, it was so simplistic and it was stupid. Like it was stupid. In the IT industry, we call like, how can this happen? But it happened. That's just to tell you that even the best IT teams are not immune to what is going on. And of course, you can see Adult Friend Finder, Ashley Madison. These are dating sites that people join. They got hacked and people's information got stolen. Credit card numbers got stolen. I personally know a colleague of mine, a former colleague of mine. Ashley Madison is a Canadian-based dating website for married people. If you're married and you want to cheat on your wife or your husband, you go to Ashley Madison because it's supposed to be clandestine. But they got breached. One of my former colleagues, her marriage crashed because her husband's details that was how she found out that her husband was on Ashley Madison and their marriage didn't survive it. So these things, it's not just loss of money or financial standing, it also affect our lives as a whole. Marriott Hotel as well. All of this happened over the past 10 years. And that's why I said there's a pandemic. The pandemic is ongoing. It's been ongoing. So this slide shows the amount of complaints just over 5 years and the amount of money that has been lost to cyber attacks in the US alone. And as you can see, from 2015 to 2019, the number of incidents reported is almost double the number of incidents. And when you look at the money over 5 years, the money that has been lost has more than tripled. In 2019, it's estimated that over $3.5 billion was lost to cybercrime. A lot of it was lost to cybercrime. Now, the reason why I said I would pay attention to social engineering is because over 50% of this $3.5 billion in 2019 was lost through a single threat vector. And that is why I'm going to pay attention to it, because a single threat vector accounts for over 50% of this money loss. Over 5 years, over 10.2 billion. So it's big business. So I do understand when the business-minded Bukola says he wants to do yahoo. Oh, just be ready. If you want to do, just be ready that the hush puppy people they're waiting there. Okay,
Don't worry about that.
Okay. Now, I wanted to highlight this information for two reasons. When you look at the age range of the victims, this is also from the FDI website. I have the report. I can send the report into the group later. They broke down the victims by age grade. And as you can see, the older the age goes, the more the number of incidents and the more the money lost. There's an age thing to this. And the reason is not far-fetched. The reason is because...
Oh, Gabby.
Bookie, mute your phone. Okay. The reason is because younger people are more tech-savvy than older people. I'm not saying you're not going to find old people who are tech-savvy. There are old people who are tech-savvy. I used to know a network administrator who was in the 60s, and he was very smart. In his 60s, he was an old guy. But generally speaking, Bayo and I were discussing in the group about, the generational issue, oldies and young people. Millennials are tech smart. It's their generation. This is their toy. when we were young, we were playing Sway, we were playing with Olokundede and things like that. This generation are growing up on technology. So they know what's up. They can spot the tricks better than old people. So our generation, 40 to 49, somewhere in the middle. Now, over 60, this is one part I wanted to highlight. There's something that they call elder fraud. Because older people, I know this because of my parents. It's like a lot of old people just feel like, why did it take this long for this to come? Why did it take this long for this to come? So my mom and my dad, they want to have the best iPhone, they want to have the best cell phone, they want to have the full experience of what is going on in the world. So they don't really understand it, but they're attracted to it. So a lot of older people are attracted to technology. They have mobile phones. My parents have a computer, but they don't really know how to protect themselves. So a lot of hackers focus directly on older people. As you can see, that is where the highest money was lost, and that is where you have the highest number of people that have been affected. So for those of us, for our parents, we need to keep them educated that it's not everything somebody sends to you that you can click on. It's very, very dangerous. I talk to my parents like every day, literally every day. And it took me some time to get them to understand that all this news that you see, there's so much fake news. They almost couldn't believe. Somebody would just send them something. Oh, the heaven is falling in Kuwait. Say, Adejuwon, should more in Kuwait and things like that. It's fake news. There's so much fake news. And the way there's so much fake news, there's a lot of threats out there for our elders. So please, if we have an elder that does online banking, that transfers money with their cell phone or with their computer, we need to educate them on how to protect themselves, how to recognize threats. It's up to us to teach them that. Now let's quickly discuss types of threat actors. Now this is not an exhaustive list. There are some others, but I just put this because they seemed most pertinent. The very, very first one is that I'll talk about cyber criminals. They are profit driven. They want to make money off people. And we don't need to look too far to find them. We know, I'm sure we are all aware of what has been going on in recent times in Nigeria, in the Nigerian circle. Last week, the Nigerian cyber criminal was nabbed along with his people. And then I think last year, the other guy too was nabbed. So these are cyber criminals. All they do, they want to make money and live large, and they prey on people using their skill set to do that. Then you also have nation states. This is cyber warfare. Somebody has said the warfare of the future will first be fought on cyber, and that is already going on. A few years ago, I think one of the Western countries hacked into the industrial control system of Iran, and they disrupted their plans because they were trying to get a nuclear weapon at the time. So this is going on. And of course, we all know about the famous DNC hack during the last US presidential elections, where it is alleged that, hackers sponsored by Russia hacked the DNC email and things like that. So there are nation state actors. I've also heard that certain nation state actors also go after money. There's a South Asian country that is famous for that in the cybersecurity cycles, where they said they literally raid banks all over the world and they transfer money into their own accounts and things like that. Then you have hacktivists. Hacktivists are activists who use hacking to protest a social cause. Like this gentleman, Julian Assange of WikiLeaks. Hacktivists, they believe that something is wrong with society and they want to protest. Their own way of protesting is by hacking certain websites. This guy hacked into different platforms and retrieved sensitive classified information and shared it to the world because he believed he was protesting against government overreach and things like that. So these are hacktivists. And of course, you have cyber terrorists. These are people who are literally terrorists. They are motivated for political, religious, or an ideological cause. Like this group called Anonymous. There's a group called Anonymous. They kind of they're somewhere between hacktivists and cyber terrorists. So there's a little difference between hacktivists and cyber terrorists in the sense that they are both hacking for some cause and they're trying to pass their point. The only difference is if an activist inside a country, if a Nigerian activist hacks into the Nigerian federal government's systems and brings it down, that's an hacktivist because it's protesting something. But if a Nigerian person goes and asks Ghana, he goes to go and hack a Ghana system because of something, that's not cyber terrorism because that's not going out of your climb. You're not going protesting some social issue. And if you're your climb, and if you are protesting something within your climb, in somebody else's climb, you are no longer an activist. You are now a cyber terrorist. And that's a big deal because that's terrorism. So these are the types of threat actors out there. Today,
so if I'm stealing from the rich, is that not some form of activism?
It can be activism. For instance, Black Lives Matter has become a global movement. There are protests all over. So if somebody somewhere, some black dude somewhere in New Zealand decides to hack something in the US, it will be classified. It can be hacktivism, but that would be a cyber terrorist attack because now you are outside your own climb essentially. So that's why I said they're kind of close. They're not.
So if black people in protest to the clean of black people are stealing from white people, can that be classified as activism?
Okay. Well, it can. The cause might be activism, but when you are doing it from outside, you can do terrorism within your own country as well. It's a thin line, but it's more of terrorism when it is across national borders. It's hard to call that activism. You are being a terrorist at that point, straight up. Nobody has really ever called Julian Assange a terrorist. He's always described as an activist, even though he's Australian. But so what you're saying makes sense, Buki. But for the most part, that's the delineation, essentially, between activists and cyber terrorists. But terrorists have stiffer punishment. Like terrorism globally is a terrible thing. So countries have a stiffer level of penalties for that. So who can be compromised in the world today? If you look at it very well, the National Security Agency has been compromised. That's the organization that's supposed to be the security agency of the United States. And the US, for all intents and purposes, is a leading in computer country, if not the number one, you know? So the White House was compromised. That's the seat of American power, you know? The US Navy, we hear about this, you know, the SEALs, the Navy SEALs. The US Navy is a very formidable part of the US military power, but they've been compromised as well by some dude from England. NASA, these are the guys that shoot people to space. They've also been compromised. So when you look at the caliber of organizations that have been compromised, I mean, what do you think you and I are very, very vulnerable. I believe it was Hitler. I believe it was Hitler who said, no man is able to protect himself if another man is determined to kill him. It doesn't matter. Somebody is determined to kill you, and that is their life's cause. Only God can save you. It doesn't matter the armies you have. So in a sense, all of us are very, very vulnerable. Some of us have even been hacked and we don't even know. So a lot of times. In the industry, it is generally known that hackers have spent, I think, 140 days in your network before you even have an idea they're there. Like it's not all the time you hear, oh my God, we've been hacked. They've been in the system long, you know. So you and I are vulnerable, and that is why we all must pay attention to what is going on. So common threats, I'll just discuss these common threats quickly. We're going to go into the ones that I think are more pertinent for us. Spam. Spam emails are just unsolicited emails. The only problem that a typical spam email, by definition, is not really looking to hack you. They are just bombarding your email. They are a nuisance. They are an irritant because you open your email, you have to filter through to see, let me see today's email. And then you see like 20 emails from all these nonsensical adverts. That's generally spam, unsolicited emails. Then you have phishing and spear phishing emails. And I'm going to dwell on this for a while because that phishing and spear phishing accounted for over $1.8 billion out of the 3.5, over half. Phishing and spear phishing is what the Invictus guy used to hack the organization of $11 million. At the same time, it's also part of what the Hush Puppy group have been using. When you look at the number of incidents and the number of money, phishing and spear phishing emails by far is the biggest threat vector through which people are being compromised and resources are being lost. Then you have spam, that is spam via instant messaging. I'm sure you must have gotten that kind of email before. You just see some crazy link in the text message. That one typically is not common. It's not as common as email, as phishing and spear phishing emails. Then you have vishing. These are unsolicited calls. In the West, those of us who live in the West, we get a lot of these. They're called cold sales calls. They just call you and, hey, hello, Mr. Disley, your computer is infected. You need to give us your password now so that we can help you disinfect it. That's vishing. In Nigeria, this one has been going on in Nigeria for a long time. Somebody will just call you, hey, it's your brother from America. Hey, brother. They won't even tell you what their name is. All those ones are common in Nigeria. We already know. Clickjacking. Clickjacking is common. And clickjacking essentially is like a website trick. When you go to a website and you're trying to click on a part of the website, but some hacker has kind of hacked that website and they have laid some kind of link on where you are clicking on and you're not aware of it. So when you're clicking that link on that website, if that website doesn't know that they've been hacked, when you do the click, you're actually clicking on something else and it's directing you to a different place. So that happens a lot. There's something that they call watering hole, honeypots, kind of watering hole attacks. So when hackers know that the accountants in this organization, for instance, they use this website a lot. This is where they get their invoices from. That they target that system, that website, that they know that these people go there, it's targeted. Then they will go and they will use clickjacking. They will put something on the web page. It's not you that has, the hack doesn't come from you first. It comes from the organization that hosts that service application. But if they don't know and then you go there, you can be compromised as well. Typo squatting. This happens a lot. When I was watching the video they released from Dubai about the Hush Puppy thing, they said, you know, what part of their strategy was that they will set up fake websites that look like actual e-commerce websites. Everything will be the same. I mean, to design it is not difficult. And then they will select a spelling that is a spelling for the URL, for the name that is very close to the actual name, like Amazon.com. So if you're typing, it's called fat fingers. Like you fat finger your people who have big thumbs and big fingers, and they try to type K, but they type KL at the same time. But they, you know, you mistakenly type something, you can be directed to that fake website, which will look like the original website, but it's not. And then when you try, you put in your credit card credentials to pay, boom, they just rip your details, and then they will use it. This happens a lot in Nigeria. I mean, among people. Sorry, let me check the. Let me move this here. It's distracting me. People who are chatting. Okay, and then there's social engineering, which is what I said I'm going to dwell on a little bit. So what is social engineering? Technically, the definition of social engineering is a psychological manipulation of people into performing actions or divulging confidential information. That is the technical definition. I think it's too much English. So my definition is simple. It's people tricking people. Somebody tricks you to reveal certain information or to perform an action that they will use against you. And in Nigeria, we have a lot of language, local parlance for this. Kai, the term mugun, that is essentially what social engineering is. When a person has been muguned, they have just been afflicted by a social engineering tactic. Another one is Maga don't pay, shout Harley. You guys remember the song. Malo for the
Bolo.
What?
Bolo.
Bolo, exactly. Where did the Bolo, and Malo Woji, these are recent ones. What's more and things like that. This is essentially what social engineering is. People tricking you. There are so many different ways. Now, I added this slide because I wanted to go into it a little bit because it looks, you might think it's easy to conclude that people who succumb to, like Oge just said, Bolo, people who fall prey to social engineering are stupid people or they are not smart people. That's not really true. People in all cadres of office have been socially engineered. I mean, this thing happens a lot. So, and there are principles behind it. One of them is authority. I mean, these things are taught in cybersecurity discussions. That's why I brought them up, so that at least you get a picture of how these people work. The principle of authority, to impersonate or imply a position of authority. Hello, I'm calling from the CEO's office. Can you sign that check ASAP? The CEO is waiting for his flight and things like that. And people fall prey to that. Accountants, whatever. People who pass money across, they fall prey to it. Especially, for instance, if the phone number that appeared was spoofed. If I know the phone number of the CEO's extension, for instance, and I get a call and it shows, Office of Galileo, and it's, Alpha, what is the check? If it just happens that you're working on the check, they call the right office, they can get the check signed. That is what Obi-Wan was doing. So it works. I mean, it's still working. Let me share a personal story that happened to me on the principle of authority. About 4 years back, something happened. I was an IT manager for an organization, a government agency. There was a change of power. There was the CEO. There was some scramble going on. The CEO, the executive director is what we called him. He got fired by a section of the board and the board of directors. And then another section of the board of directors did not agree to the firing. They said no. They didn't agree for him to be fired. So I used to work in government. It went up to the mayor of the city. I think that the mayor of the city said, so there was two things going on. There was a HR director in my office, and then there was the executive secretary. The executive secretary, by her office, she was just the secretary to the CEO, but she was an influential person by her own personality. So there was a little bit of a confusion for me at the time. So I got an instruction from the HR director to terminate the account of the CEO, which is big. That's a big deal. We do it all the time. Hiring and firing. When organizations fire, IT have to do something. They have to terminate your account, collect your laptop, collect your phone, and things like that. So we work closely with HR for that. Before anybody knows this person is going to lose their job, typically as an IT leader, I would know, because they will tell me tomorrow we are firing this person by this time. We'll call him into our office at 2:00, terminate the account by that time, and wait at the door to collect their devices and things like that. So I got the call from my HR director to terminate the CEO's account. The protocol says she was supposed to email me, but she didn't email me. She sounded very urgent. So I went ahead and I terminated the account. And I went to her office. I said, you want to do that? She said, yes. Okay, do it now and things like that. So I submitted the account. I don't know what happened behind the scenes. The other section of the board of directors that didn't want him to be fired, they went through their own means, and then the mayor decided to reinstate the guy. Then the executive secretary. So no, that's not what happened. The man, the actual CEO, because he was not out of the building for like 2 or 3 days, I just got a call from his office, from his extension. Adejuwon, I'm back. I can't log into my computer. I restore my access now. Wow. Now this man was a former military general, US military general. He had a very imposing presence. So I called the HR director to say, what's going on? This man just called me. She didn't pick up her phone. Before I knew what was going on, the executive secretary called me and said, oh, yes, Mr. This is back. Restore his account. So, okay, I restored his account. Turned out it was his scam. He just came in to withdraw some files. So we restored his account. We withdrew those files, copied whatever I wanted to copy, and went away. And I almost got into trouble for that. But I didn't lose my job because of what happened. But that's just to tell you the principle of authority. It happens. And then you have intimidation. It's similar. Like that was very, very close. Do you want to call your supervisor before you do this? If I told the man that, no, I need to hear from the HR director, the HR director reports to him. So if you tell me I'm back, he's your guy, water. I had to be careful. It was a confusing situation. So intimidation is one. Consensus is one. To convince somebody, if you're like a large group, and somebody reaches out to me and said, Adejuwon, register to the website, yeah. Oh, really? Let me go and register too. Boom. So all these principles are there. Scarcity. But if you don't register now, we are going to block it off by 12 p.m. and you're going to lose a big opportunity. All these things, familiarity, urgency. Urgency is a big one. Oh, your account's about to be blocked. Your account's about to go dormant. If you don't do this to renew immediately, you are going to be. And if you're not careful, that can get you. These principles are the social engineering principles that hackers use a lot of times to get information from people that they then use to compromise networks, bank accounts, financial institutions, and cause havoc. So I have a short video. It's like an exercise. I'm going to play it, and I want us to just discuss it and let me know what is wrong with this scenario. Okay.
Hello, this is Utilitech. Dwight speaking.
Hi, Dwight. This is Jim from the IT department. We're doing a company-wide password reset. So we need to get everyone's old password in order to reset them. You'll get a password reset notification when you log in tomorrow.
Sure thing, Jim. My old password is Bears Beats Battlestar Galactica. That's all lowercase with no spaces.
Thanks a bunch, Dwight. We'll get that changed right away. Bears.
Let's have a quick discussion. What is wrong with this? What is wrong with this scenario here? Any takers? Oh yeah, mute.
It's wrong to give your password on the phone, no? Like you can't just divert that information on the phone.
Yeah, a typical IT department doesn't need you to tell them your old password to reset it. We don't need that. We want to reset your password by force, we'll reset it by force, period. We just change it by group policy.
Then I think the complaint policy is faulty. As in, probably maybe some staff probably maybe doesn't know. They don't. I mean, prior to that time, maybe there's not been any sensitization by the company in more or less trying to like guide the staff that okay, this is the way to go about it, and then it shouldn't be done on the phone. It has to be documented one way or the other.
Employee awareness training. It's a big deal.
Yeah.
Something that the FBI has pushed out that all organizations have to do, especially government organizations. Employee awareness training. People don't know. People just like this is a clear example of authority. I'm calling you from the IT department. We need your password to, and this could be from somebody saying, I'm calling you from the bank. I'm calling you from wherever to say, give us your password. Somebody calls you to say, give us your password. We want to reset it. That's complete BS. Because any system administrator, anybody who administers a system can reset, you can take your account out, I can reset your password. But this thing works. This thing works all the time. It will working today, it will work tomorrow. Just because people don't know. This is social engineering at work. Now, other tactics. I put some here because actually, even me, when I began to study cybersecurity and I saw that these things have led to the compromise of networks, I'm like, this is stupid. But because it works, you can't ignore it. So there are other tactics that I split into two. There's the physical ones, like tailgating. Like you can look at this picture here. If you are going into your office, maybe you have something in your hands and you go in and somebody, oh, can I quickly call me? I didn't hold my ID card. Tailgating and unauthorized access, they're kind of tied together. Once that person enters, you don't know what they're trying to do. You don't know what they're trying to do. So you have to be careful. For those of us that work in banks, in sensitive places, we need to pay attention to these things. If your company has a policy that says everybody has to swipe in, if somebody doesn't swipe in, because this happened to me many times. Somebody comes, oh, I'm sorry, I have a meeting with the director, I'm late, and things like that. I say, you know what? I can help you call them. In fact, I will go to that office to find the person you're looking for and tell them there's somebody that you know. But I won't let you be with me. Because then, if you are a malicious actor, I'm the one that led the snake to the garden. This has happened to many good employees of organizations. So let's be aware of that. Shoulder surfing. You can see the dude that's looking at the lady's punching the ATM. People do this. You might be sitting in the car, in the bus, in the train with somebody, and you're doing at the airport. You're waiting for your flight. You're trying to check something and you're typing the information. Shoulder surfing works. People do it. Even in the office. If there's a bad employee that you work with and you don't know their intentions, they stand behind you and they look at your typing patterns they can get your password. All of these things work. Dumpster diving. I put this in here because we should all be aware of it, especially people who live in the West. We get a tremendous amount of mails, letters from different organizations. You have credit card companies sending you letters because they want you to register with them. You have banks offering you loans. You have all sorts of letters coming. When you get all these letters, and of course it applies to Nigeria as well, any kind of paper, before you go and throw it away, hackers use this dumpster diving. They will go into trash cans and they will go and go through the paper. And before you know what's up, they will find something that has sensitive, personally identifiable information. It could be a bank statement. It could be anything. And they will use that to compromise you. Dumpster diving works. So when you're disposing of paper, please shred paper. If you don't have shredder, use your hand to tear it such that nobody can put it together. Because people get hacked. These people are determined. That's what they do. That's how they make a living. And they do this and they make it. So please don't think this is stupid. It's really, really not. It's stupid, but it works, essentially. So shred your paper well. And of course, I talked about phishing initially. We'll go through phishing again and spear phishing. Whaling. So phishing, spear phishing, whaling, they are all the same thing. It's just by scale. Whaling is when a phishing email targets a whale. That's like the C-suit guys, the Kuli Ogidis of this world, and people who sit in the executive team. And where Janla, where they get targeted, that is whaling. And then I talked about phishing before. Now, phishing and spear phishing, I think that's the next slide. Phishing emails. In the cybersecurity, the phishing, we use PH instead of F, but it's essentially the principle of phishing. A phishing email, like the picture shows, the fisherman throws out a net and you pick up a lot of fish, you sort out the fish, the good, the bad ones, you throw them away, the good ones, you take them. That's what phishing is. A phishing email is an email that is sent out to a whole lot of people and is requesting for some kind of information, or is asking you to click a link that will then run a program that will go and gather your passwords or compromise your network. That's a phishing email. It's different from a spam. Spam are just adverts. They are really, really harmless, apart from the fact that they clog your inbox. But a phishing email is actually phishing for something. It's not targeted at you specifically, but people succumb to it. So again, what I would like us to do, please, is to have a discussion. If you see this kind of email, what kind of things would you see to alert you that this may be a fake email? Let's have a discussion on it.
Well, Moradia is talking, please.
Yes.
Yes, one of the things that my husband called my attention to about this phishing email is, for example, if they claim that the email is from Amazon, if you open the address itself, it can now be PWHEC useless, nothing that has to do with Amazon at all. So the moment you see that name, you don't click the link. You know, so I think I've learned that.
So if you look at this email address, it is complete, it's a bogus email address. The name on it sounds legit, webmail, help desk, support. But the actual email address is wrong. It doesn't make sense. So that is that's the first way that you can get alerted. Is there anything else you see here that will alert your attention?
Yeah, Yinka ló ń sọ̀rọ̀. I know see that me gbọ́ pé wọ́n lock out somebody's account torí pé ó ní 325 megabytes. So ó ní láti upgrade. That is just my like family.
Exactly. When you look at what is being requested, a lot of times it doesn't make sense. Some of that makes sense, but a lot of times it doesn't seem likely. It doesn't seem likely that IT will send this kind of email. Then your alert has to be up. Now, when you look at the tool section of it, who this email was sent to, undisclosed recipients. Okay, this is suspicious. And then when you read the email, you will see a lot of times you would see that the English is poorly constructed. A lot of times, email is originated from like a non-English speaking country. That's where the answer is. So you see, this is to inform you that you have exceeded your email quota of that, and you need to increase your email because look at it, because I spelled it wrong, and because it will be disabled, not disabled. So you can pick that, and of course, the barrier of it is that there is no IT department that will request for your username and password again in clear text. We don't send passwords in clear text. It's not done. Passwords are hashed. Passwords are encrypted. It's not something that you just know. And let me just say this too. When you email at work, and so there's some system or something that you want to share with somebody, please don't email your password. Emailing passwords is generally a poor idea because the email can be forwarded to anybody. Like it might be an internet email, but you forward it to somebody in Nigeria, in Ghana, whatever. It will go through, and then they have that password. So you don't. If you ever have to share a password with someone, maybe call the person directly on their cell phone number. You have their number. They're not going to call you because that could be anybody. You call the person's number, how far? I know your voice, I know who you are, okay. Then I can share my password with you. Generally not recommended that you share passwords anyway. It's just poor practice. So this is a typical phishing email.
The one even with phone call, you never know who is listening. And also I wanted to raise a point even about this, our internet TV and all that. I've been seeing a lot of people getting into huge issue because of some listening devices that has been implanted into their TV without them knowing. So I've seen a lot of security being compromised that way. That's another one.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Say that before I forget. So even by phone, it's really, not advisable to do that.
Hello, sir.
Hello. Sorry. Yeah, so this one is a spear phishing email. The significant difference between them is that a phishing email is general. It won't have your name on it. It won't have the name of somebody you know. But a spear phishing email really targets you. They know something about you. They may know your name. They may know your email address. And it's more decorated. It looks more official. This gets people a lot. A spear phishing email got me last month. What happened was, I believe that I was what's it called? I believed I was exposed to the coronavirus. Okay, somebody I knew tested positive to coronavirus, so I was really, really worried. I went to do a test, and then they told me that they would get back to me in 72 hours. I should watch out for my email, or I should call a certain number. Or they will call me. They didn't call me after 72 hours. After that 72 hours, 3 days, I got an email that said, your test is out, because I was apprehensive that whole time. This was just last month. I was apprehensive. Before I looked closely, I already clicked the link to check the result of my test. Turned out it was a complete phishing email. But thank God that there were some agenda behind the scene that blocked that link from opening up, and they eliminated the risk. So these things happen. They can, and as you can see, I put Bayo Adejuwon's name here because I'm Moroni.
I have to pray for my friend.
Ayo.
So,
Maga.
Email. So let's talk about malware. Generally, I just wanted to share this because it's good to have. A lot of times we hear these names, we don't know which is which and what the difference between them. Malware is basically the general term for unwanted malicious software. They are all malware, but they are different. The first, originally, virus, that's the one that we've known from long time. Even before we got on the internet, once you had computers, somebody brought a floppy disk. Those three, floppy disk, flash drive, they can infect your computer with a virus. A virus was typically not looking for much, but to destroy your data. And I cannot, looking back now, I just don't understand it. Just straight sadism. They're not really trying to get anything from you. They don't even have an internet connection. Somebody somewhere just sits down, writes a very malicious software, sends it out there, destroys people's data, wipe out boot sectors of hard disks, or cause computers to just run very, very slowly. That want to hack me.
Share Bayo at gate ni.
I'm learning fast.
You overstepped your boundary.
Omoro.
So,
Yamoro.
Yamoro Goni.
Okay, so malware, yeah. So that's a virus. The same thing and adware. Adware was very common back in the day. It's basically unwanted adverts popping up. If you go to certain websites, it's a disturbance for most of the time. They are just getting you to click on these adverts to see what they are selling. The spyware, that one is a little bit more dangerous. If you click on the wrong link and you mistakenly download and install a spyware on your computer, a spyware will take a snapshot of every click, every scroll, everything you do on your computer. And if that spyware is kind of, there's like a remote access part to it, somebody somewhere can be gleaning all that information from you. So as you are typing stuff, as you are going to your bank account, as you are going into your whatever, they are looking at you. A Trojan horse, this one, we have to be careful with this one because we all have young kids, teenagers. They love games. A lot of online games out there are literally Trojan horses. You download them, yes, you play the game, there's a functional part of it, but behind the scenes, they are literally going in and messing up your computer. Your computer will start running slow, start freezing, you must start expressing the blue screen of death. That's a Trojan horse. There's also a version of a remote access Trojan. What this one does, if you download it, it looks good to the eye. It's usually a game, something entertaining, and then you download and install it. It could even be some kind of weird browser. A remote access Trojan will create a backdoor. Once it's installed, that's the difference between a normal Trojan horse and a remote access Trojan. It will create a backdoor, which is actually a code that will open up a port on your computer, and whoever created that Trojan will have access to your computer. They can use it to take information from you, or they can use it to join your computer to what they call a botnet. A botnet is a wide network of computers whose owners don't know that their computers have been compromised. People don't know. But once it runs, once the Trojan gets installed, somebody somewhere has access to your computer. So if they have like 100,000 computers out there, they can use all those computers to do what they call a DOS attack, denial of service. They want to take something down. They want to take a service down. A lot of those who do that, they usually use botnets. So they have ripped your computer. It's part of a network and you have no idea. That person will just sit down in somewhere, Ukraine or wherever they are, click on it, and 100,000, 1 million computers all over the world will start sending requests to a particular website, and that website will crash. So when your computer starts getting very, very slow, freezing, information getting lost, blue screen of death, and it's generally acting weird, please be very careful. Your computer might be a part of a botnet. Ransomware, if you click on the wrong link, ransomware and crypto malware they are twin brothers, they are twin siblings. So a ransomware, if you click on the wrong link, it will lock your computer. You cannot enter your computer again except you pay some money. So they will tell you how to send the money out. They will release your computer. A crypto malware will not lock your computer, but it will encrypt all data, every document you have, every picture you have, every video you have. It will get encrypted. You will just see gibberish. That's a crypto malware. Again, they are looking for money. You have to pay them. They will, if they want. A lot of times, people who pay to these people, they don't even get their data back. The data doesn't get encrypted. They don't send the keys. When it happened in Atlanta, the Atlanta City government about 3 or 4 years ago, they had a ransomware like that. It was a mess. I mean, it went on for weeks. A keylogger typically will get on your computer and essentially capture your keystrokes, everything you are typing. That way they can get, this one is usually for passwords, account numbers, and things like that. It gets on your computer, they can get on your computer through clicking the wrong link, or somebody can put a flash drive in and then it will just run. So if you share your personal computer, be careful with this. Share your personal computer only with people that you trust. And I'll talk about it later as well. But ideally, a personal computer is a personal computer, is for you alone. Hello, young Mr. Adekunle. And then you have the rootkit. A rootkit which is also a backdoor malware. It will sit in the heart of your operating system. Somewhere between your OS and your hardware is very, very hard to eliminate. Most where anti-malware can get it, most AV will not get it. It will sit there and it will just get admin privileges to your computer and just mess with it, can crash it or can send information to somebody else. So now we are now at the cyber hygiene practices, the things we can do. Hey Joe, Sarah. Okay, so what are the things that we can do to practice hygienic use of computer devices in this internet age? I've put some here. It's not, there are many that I don't have here, but these are like common things that can be easily done. Number one is password security. Please, I mean, I know we all know this. Don't use 12345 or password. Okay, Equifax. Let me get back to Equifax. When Equifax got breached, Equifax is one of the top 3 credit rating companies in America. They hold one of the most important information about people, which is social security number for all Americans. They got breached. When they got breached and the incident management process kicked in, the incident responders found out that a lot of their servers, I'm not even talking about computer, like people's desktops and laptops, so their servers, the credentials was admin, ADMIN as username, and password as password. They didn't change the default password on their servers. It was benign. That's why the CEO was fired, the CIO was fired, a whole lot of people were fired, because I think that's when we found out that the CISO, the Chief Information Security Officer of Equifax, had a degree in music. And we're like, how can you put somebody over an organization this sensitive at a position this sensitive who has no idea what this is about? So password length is the first one I recommend. The longer your password, the harder it is to crack. The more complex it is, the harder it is to crack. Use an uppercase, lowercase, number, special character, combine it, and so on. Make it long. The longer it is, like 10 at a minimum of 10, I would say a minimum of 8 characters or 10 characters. But the longer it is, the better. It shouldn't be 20, otherwise it wouldn't count. Only maximum so they take. But don't make it four alphabets. Don't make it your first name, and that's it. Or your sister's first name, your mom's first name. That's not a password. That can be easily cracked. They call it dictionary. So there's a dictionary attack. One of the most low-level ways to crack a password is a dictionary attack. All words that exist in the dictionary, they will run it in a couple of seconds. If your password is a straight name, a straight word, name of a city or something, then they will easily get it. For those of us who have a non-English language, we are actually lucky. When I make a password, I make it Oriyenimogun asterisk 76. So dictionary to ama fueni Oriyenimogun walowajade, and things like that. So, but if it's English, that one is easy. So don't make it that simple. Expiration. I recommend don't keep a password on any of your systems for longer than 180 days. That's like 6 months. Don't have the same email password from 2014 up to now. That's not good. That's not good. Change it periodically. Change your passwords periodically. It's hard to manage. There are password managers. If you want, you can get one. The password manager like LastPass, where all you need to remember is just that one password. Everything else will be stored there. Google also has a password manager. Comes free, but you be careful with that. Okay. You can also adjust your password settings, all these things, on your Windows local security policy as well. To make it 0 day, you can make it 180 days and things like that. Change default passwords for any device that you own, especially your router. For those of us who have routers at home, don't retain, it normally comes with a default password. Always change that and make it long and complex. Okay, that is password security. We cannot but talk about that as a hygienic practice in the internet age. Operating system. This one happens. This one, I'm sure, if we look at people on this call, I'm sure there's somebody out here who has an OS that has passed its end of life. So the way these companies do operating systems, whether it's Windows, whether it's Mac, Android, and things like that. But I'll use Microsoft for example, because I'm more familiar with Microsoft. So Microsoft operating systems typically have a lifespan of 10 years before they expire. 10 years of support. My mute, 10 years of support. The first 5 years of that OS, we call it the full support time. Full support means that they are releasing feature updates. It's getting richer. There are more cool things they are releasing. And they're also releasing security updates. So because when they release all these operating systems, hackers are waiting. They are going to start exploiting it and finding out the vulnerabilities in those operating systems. And they find them because they know each other. It's like police and thief. Only don't mess, only talk. Game. It's like a game. Those people who the hackers will sit down and they will find the loophole in the code. So that's why Microsoft they will start releasing updates. So like I said, there will be full feature updates. Or when we click this thing, this feature doesn't work well, they will make it better. And they will apply security updates because Microsoft themselves, they have their own internal hacker teams. That's like their research team that is now trying to hack the OS so that they can get ahead of the hackers out there. So that's the full support. The second 5 years of the OS, they call it extended support. That one, they are no longer releasing any feature or functionality to make it cooler. But they will keep releasing security updates so they don't compromise the computers and networks of their users. And that's 5 years. After 5 years, 10 years, there's no more feature update, there's no more security update. That operating system becomes open season for hackers. Open season. So for instance, I put Windows started like, I think in the 80s. So I just started from 1995. They have had different iterations of Windows, of the Windows desktop operating system. Windows 95, and you'll see Windows 98, Windows 2000, 2001, Windows Vista came out 2006, Windows 7 Professional, Windows 7, whether Professional or Home Edition, 2009, Windows 8. Windows 8.1 Windows 8 marked a radical change in Microsoft because now they were trying to make their desktop OS have the feel of mobile cell phones with tiles. Windows 8 wasn't so good, wasn't well accepted. People didn't like it. So they changed it out. And then in 2015, they had Windows 10. So 2020, that way, 10 years ago is 2010. So as you can see, if your computer is on Windows 7 now, there's no support for your operating system. So you are highly, highly vulnerable. You are highly, highly vulnerable. If they find out if hackers roll out some kind of worm that goes across the world and capitalizes on a loophole in Windows 7, Microsoft is not supporting it. So please pay attention. In this US, I've seen people on Windows Vista, Windows XP, literally speaking. So desktop OS, Tolaniwa Onio, hey, our fans then so hello. If I be on mute on my edge. Okay, I saw the time by. Okay, so if you're on Windows 7, you're vulnerable. The same thing goes for like Windows Server, Windows Server software, SQL database applications. All of these applications, they have expiration dates. So if you are behind, please try to upgrade. If you cannot upgrade, buy a new device. Especially those even in Nigeria, anywhere you are, That's just hygienic practice. Keep your operating system as close to recent as possible. Every Tuesday, there's something they call Microsoft Tuesday. Microsoft pushes out updates to the operating system, but not to the ones that are no longer supported. Get endpoint protection and add a good antivirus software. Keep it updated. If possible, get anti-malware. A lot of these companies actually have full solutions that have all of them. They'll protect you against viruses and worms and all of this malware, zero-day exploits. Make sure if you're using a Windows computer, make sure your Windows Defender is turned on. The Windows Defender 1, that's on your personal PC. Your company PC, your network administrator will do that from the back end. You don't need to adjust that. But on your personal devices, please turn on your Windows Defender. That one offers at least some level of defense against malicious software and threat actors. LifeLock is also good. If you are living in America or something, or even the UK, if you suspect that you've been breached, it's good to get LifeLock, or it's a service, you pay for it. But anywhere your social security number is used, anywhere your sensitive information is used, LifeLock will first block it, contact you first for approval. So that you don't, because all these hush puppy, all these credit cards they are using, is people's credit card though. Those people are going to pay. They will not be paying attention. Like rich people sometimes, if you're not paying attention to your credit card, and people are buying stuff on your credit card, and you don't know, you're paying for what other people, for what scammers are literally doing. So LifeLock will help with that. Like I said, LifeLock is not free, but it helps. Endpoint protection is good. And if you install antivirus on your software, keep it updated. The way it works is such that it's something they call digital signature, zero-day exploits. A virus, an antivirus is as good as the number of viruses it recognizes. So if you have not updated from last week and a new virus or malware came out this week, your AV is useless. You won't see it. So keeping it updated is, if it's not updated, it's not too useful, essentially, is what it is. Okay. Ṣé web page yìí gba sabuke? Ṣé mo kàn tó pè sabuke? Certificate ló jẹ́ bẹ́ẹ̀. So when you are browsing web pages, I'm sure a lot of us know this, watch out for the padlock on there, on the web address bar. Please don't put your credentials on a website that is not, on a web page that has no SSL certificate. It's called an SSL certificate. That is not secure. These kind of websites are very, very vulnerable to what they call man-in-the-middle attacks. The certificate is saying your computer is connected to the actual server that hosts the true web page. There's nobody in the middle who is intercepting your communication. That's what, now, I need to point something out. The fact that the connection is secure doesn't mean the website is safe. People who set up fake websites, they can get a certificate for it. They can make it look like eBay. They can make it look like Amazon. Your connection to it might be secure. It doesn't mean the website is safe. That is where you need to check the URL you are on and things like that. There's different layers to checking. But as a general practice, if a web page doesn't have that padlock, it doesn't have the SSL certificate, it's more dangerous. If you're reading a blog on such a website, it's okay. If you want to buy something online, it's not okay. You can't do that. What I've seen a lot of times, I've seen some e-commerce platforms that will have this kind of page, but when you click purchase, it will then move. It will now change over and go to a different platform that has an SSL certificate. I've seen that as well. So that means that the one you went to was just like a front end to the actual payment platform, which is now integrated. So, but watch out, generally speaking, the padlock on your web address bar is a good indication that you are connected to the actual system that you're going to, the actual web server that you're trying to access. Should basabuke, could basabuke, don't go there. Guest accounts on your laptop and on your router. If you have a router at home, this is important. If you have a router for Wi-Fi at home, yes, you change your default password, you select your own. That one is absolutely critical to do. What is even more critical to do is to create a guest account so that the network you are browsing on is logically different from the network that a visitor is connecting to when they come to your house. Because if a bad person comes to your house and they say, can I browse quickly? They join your house Wi-Fi. If they want, and they want to do, and their intention is not good, once they're on your Wi-Fi, they mostly can see your device. They can see your browsing traffic. If they have the right software, they can see your passwords in clear text. They will get it. So, and the same thing on your laptop, do a guest account on your laptop as well. When somebody comes to your house, wants to use your PC, let them log in as guest. Let them not log in on your profile where they can see all your information. That one is good hygienic practice as well. Use multi-factor authentication. Higher than username and password. You can also get an additional thing like a one-time passcode. Like Google now, Google has introduced it. When I log into my Google account, I have to authenticate on my computer and on my cell phone as well. I have to tap on my cell phone. That one helps because if your password gets compromised, your computer and your cell phone is harder for two of your devices to be compromised at once. It's harder. That's all it is. It's not that it cannot happen. It's just harder. So you can use a one-time passcode. I know Nigerian banks use the OTP thing. You can use a YubiKey. The YubiKey is such that it's a USB device. You plug it in, you enter your password, you have to tap, you have to like press on that YubiKey. If you don't press on it, that part that has the Y on it, your thumb has to go on it, it will read it. If you don't do that, the system will not open up. So dual factor authentication is good. Multiple factor authentication is good. It's more stressful, but it's good. It's good security. It protects. My guess is that as internet penetration gains more ground in Nigeria and digital footprint expands in Nigeria, so will cybersecurity issues expand. It's good to know these things and at least be aware about them and put them in place if possible. Another hygienic practice, avoid where angels fear to tread on the internet. Those who understand, understand. Don't go to bad websites. Tano Jasi diagrammatic. Who just see this diagrammatic expression? Where's Bigwe?
Ojulala convention.
Ojulala convention. When you are on the internet, when you're on your computer, always be careful. Nothing, let your alert be up. Nothing passes that. Whether for spear phishing attack, phishing, all of these different attack vectors that we talked and discussed about, being careful when you are browsing, when you are using your device, watching well before you click that link, checking the URL properly before you enter your username and password to make sure it's the right place to go. Would you lack of insurance? Nothing beats that. Caution, nothing beats caution. From generation to generation, it's always going to be important. It's better for you, it's better to be slow, I think, than to risk compromise. You know? Issue, Yesolu Berry, Yakwan Baka, my respondi. Yakwan Batilika, would you go bury in you?
Day one.
Yes, sir.
Tí ìyá ojú àti alákàn lásán kò wáyé orí wà ń bẹ̀. Kò tí rí kó yẹ pé ojú àti alákàn nìkan la rí, ojú alákàn ni èsì orí rárá ń bẹ̀.
Orí wà ń bẹ̀.
Parí.
Let me share it again. Orí wà ń bẹ̀ náà, àbí?
wọ́n ṣeré ní jàre.
Oh, okay. Ori lolly. Ori reo. Ori reo.
Orí olóògbé ni ẹ̀.
Orí tó dúdú.
Hello.
So,
Hello, good evening, everybody.
Good evening, Mr. President.
Runaway president.
Ẹ má bínú. Mo lọ ń kọ́ṣẹ́ hush puppy ni.
I have a question now.
I have a question now. Being pé I'm standing now. People very intimidate me.
Smile on your face, no matter condition.
Do you want? I have a question now.
Inka.
Yes, sir.
I have a question. Okay, so my question is that I want to know how safe it is to have all these passwords saved on websites. So you know that there are a lot of sites now, trusted websites, not necessarily e-commerce sites, that we often visit, and then you are asked, particularly Google, you are asked if the system should automatically save your password so you don't have to type it in every time. I just want to check with you, how safe is that behavior?
Well, so Google has integrated a password manager. They will ask you, do you want to save this? If you click save, it will save it for you. So next time you go to the website, you don't need to type it in. It's not the safest practice. The reason why it's not the safest practice is that, and please don't get me wrong, I do it. I mean, let me share my screen. Let me share my screen quickly so that, okay. So this is what we're talking about. Passwords. I mean, I don't know of anybody who doesn't have them. I have because there's so many systems. It's not, so what I say is not a safe practice. It's not because, oh, did you guys see that?
No.
Oh, sorry. I didn't fully share my screen. My bad. Let me try it again. So you look at, yes, so this is what, sorry. So this is what we're talking about here, right? So this is, as you can see, I have a lot of them. I mean, I have a lot of them, but that will not stop me from letting you know it's not the safest practice. The reason why it's not the safest practice, once your Google password is compromised, everything there is over. Everything there is over. So what you want to make sure, but I don't know how one will not have that because everything is digital. There's digital transformation. Oged and Professor Adejuwon were discussing earlier that, you know, digital transformation is taking over. All processes are going digital. So places where you take paper to, now you have to log in. There's too many passwords or usernames to remember. Way too many. So you don't even have.
But
yeah.
No, sorry to cut in. You know, you said something like once your Google ID is hijacked, that everything is over. I'm thinking, you know, most times when you log into devices or systems, you only do single sign-on again. You have two-factor authentication, or even sometimes you have three. You understand? Two-factor or more. So now, when somebody hijacked that your Google, where you save your password, are you saying that the other form of, how will I put it, identification will also be compromised as well?
That's exactly where I was going. For single factor authentication, username and password, once your Google password is gotten, everything that you have with your Google password manager, they have it. So that is where multi-factor authentication helps.
Yeah.
So to answer your question, if you have set multiple factor authentication, somebody will, if they get your password, they will type it in, they will click OK. Google will say, yes, we have now sent you a text message. Enter the one-time passcode. If the person doesn't have your phone, they cannot enter that one-time passcode. So if it's a remote person, except or your friend, If it's like a regular hacker, that is where it stops. They cannot go further than that. So the most, and that is why for my Google, like I said, I switched to multi-factor. So so I have to tap on, Google will send me a link on my phone. I will tap yes, then I can open my Google. But if you don't have multi-factor and you use the Google password manager, it's dangerous. Another thing you can do is to get other password managers. For example, it depends. We're all different. So LastPass is very good. It's not too, LastPass by force, by fire, you have to use multi-factor. So all you need, and of course, they also enforce password complexity. So you can't put any password that's not complex. And then they will send you a YubiKey to your house. Without that YubiKey, you won't be able to log in. So you can save your password here. If that, this one is a paid platform. Okay. But yes, I hope your question has been answered, sir.
You want? So kilo You want?
Yes, sir.
What happened? I have a question. So what happened if the custodian now is compromised? Somebody has that question in the text messages. So like, let's say we invested, bought LifeLock or have that program to store our password and what have you, keep us safe. What if they get compromised too?
You mean the organization?
Yes.
Oh, of course. If Google gets compromised.
No, LifeLock.
Or LastPass gets compromised.
Mm-hmm.
What did you turn on here? You started to crash here.
So
what can you do? Something you can do. So if hackers, for instance, if you use LastPass and hackers get into LastPass and they kind of turn off the YubiKey functionality. So that means that somebody tries to go into your Google, you will not request for that additional authentication. So that is why there are layers to this. Companies like LastPass, like Google, they don't play with security. They own the internet. These are the owners of the internet. Every authentication layer in the internet belongs, these are the people that run it. So, so once, if those people get jacked up, all of us are jacked up.
Can I ask my own question now?
Yes. No. When I said, be careful, don't go to places where agents will not trade. I wanted to pick on the but I said, let me
but you buy your bags, don't you?
Buy your bag.
Bimpe, ask your question now.
Let me ask my question.
Yes.
It's a contribution. So thank you so much. I'm sorry I'm late. I was late, so I'm really sorry.
You missed a slide.
I missed a lot.
Let me show you your slide. Where Bayo and Ogade were trying to hack you.
I was feeling bad for you, Bimpe.
Bayo and Ogade were trying to hack you.
Okay, before you show me that, let me ask my question, then you show me that. Or let me quickly make my contribution.
Okay.
What I was what for come about me, no, this so so my addition is there is a particular website called Adejuwon. So it's a real website that you can check your password. How many times, if your password has been hacked into, if somebody has used your password somewhere else. And you'll be surprised to see how many times your password has been used. I sent the link to Adejuwon. I don't know how are you familiar with that website?
No, I'm not.
Or do you use something, have I been pwned?
PWNED?
PAWNED. Is that the one I sent you? So you can check security.
Let me show you the one I found.
The security of your site.
This one.
Yeah, that's the one. That's the one. So on that particular website, you can put your password in. Anybody can check and see how many times your password has been compromised.
Wait, so is it your password and your email address? Like because
your password and your email. Your password you can check, and your email address can also check.
Okay.
I don't know if there's any other link.
Auntie Bingbe. Bingbe. I have my reservations about that. This is your website, though.
It's not my website.
Password is my personal property. It's a private property. Hello? Hello?
So you are thinking they will
under natural human rights. My password is my name. Is my name, is my being.
Is identity.
Now publishing it on an unknown website where there is an administrator somewhere crossing his leg and watching what I'm typing on the website. My son recently started a coding class, and he was telling me about HTML, how it works, and all those things, where there is a back end and a front end.
Yeah.
And the website is a front end. Let's say that website is set on an HTML foundation. That means there is somebody at the back, at the back end, checking what I'm typing on our website. I'm sorry, I have my reservations. If the IT experts on this call have something else to say, then I believe it's very difficult to convince me about this website. Thank you.
Can I respond to that? That reservation is valid. But one thing about that is that reservation is valid. That particular website was given at work by the highest guys, at my work by the highest guys. So I know that you should be afraid that somebody is looking at what you're typing in.
Yeah,
but
because
also,
I mean, so my got to go something. So when you're browsing, especially when you're browsing through Google Chrome, and you're logged onto your Google account, who you are is known. Now, when you go to this website and you put your password to check if it has been hacked before,
compromised,
you have just told the people who own this platform what your password is, and they already know who you are.
Right.
I will research more into this website, but
they use it a lot here.
Yeah,
I have my big reservation.
Yeah, it's a two-edged sword. No, it's true.
Can I say something? Can I say something, please?
Because think about it. Passwords, me and Kole might have the same password now, but we don't know.
But we don't know. That's right.
Understand? So
let me say something.
Have been used. But it might be there, but you don't know if it's me. So
So, for example, the reason why I suggested that, but I had an email address. But I had an that email address, I received a spam email that sent that they said, okay, this particular email had been hacked, and this is my password, and that password was my password.
But have I been pawned? Don't ask for your password now. They just ask for your your email address.
Or email address, exactly.
Is it only your email they ask?
And everyone.
Ask for your email address.
No, excuse me.
Let me say this: nobody should ask for your password.
Wait now.
Nobody, you don't give your password to anybody. It's like giving your social security.
Have I been pawned? Have been pawned without A. They only ask for your email address, not your
user ID.
Not your password.
Okay.
Correct.
Check if your account has been compromised in a data breach.
Just put your email address. They will tell you.
Oh, email address. Sorry.
Okay, that's better.
I have a question about that. All these sites that we go to.
Hold on.
So that kind of.
Lere has a question.
Lere, okay.
And then Kunle.
Yeah. Juwon?
Yes, sir.
Actually, someone called me one day from the bank and gave me my BVN correctly. I actually didn't tell the person anything, but when I went to the bank, they couldn't tell me anything reasonable. So I don't know how that was possible.
Don't give anybody your BVN under any guise.
He called me, Buki, he called me.
From where?
And gave me the BVN correctly.
When you go to the bank,
he said from First Bank.
So when you go to the bank, did you meet the person? Did you see the person there? Is there a person like that there?
No. I think it was a scam, but I don't know how it was possible for that person to get my BVN.
That's easy.
Wait.
Hello, Larry.
I can hear you. I can
Yeah.
hear you.
You see, I think I can speak a little bit to that. You see, this kind of compromise can happen in two ways. Number one, there are some. It happened in my bank. Let me just put it that way. I don't know. Maybe whether I'm violating my code of secrecy or not. There was a time that
the bank did you go offline or stay online? Which one is it?
Hello, can I continue?
No, should I stop the live stream?
Stop it.